There is far too many reasons why the Matrix trilogy is one of the most influential sci-fi movies of all times. Because even after 21 years of its initial release, the Matrix trilogy is one of those rare masterpieces which is still a hot topic of discussion in most intellectual, philosophical, theological, metaphysical, spiritual, and even socio-politically oriented circles. And I think one of the reasons as to why so many different communities have found a common ground of interest in this movie is because there's way too many ways in which the open-ended, philosophical, spiritual, and socio-political metaphors of these movies could be interpreted. And for today's video, I specifically wanted to talk about a couple of scenes in the trilogy which can be subjected to the free will versus determinism debate, starting off with this clip.
Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No.
So this scene is undoubtedly one of the defining moments of the first part of the trilogy, and is also a scene where the free will versus determinism debate is clearly unfolding in real time. Where, for those of you who do not understand what this debate is all about, simply put, free will can be understood as the notion of having absolute control over one's own life and all of the actions that people undertake in their lives, whereas determinism propounds the belief system that everything is predetermined in life, including our actions, and since we don't really have any control over our will due to the law of causation, therefore we are never really free. Now, in the context of the scene in the clip, when Neo responds to Morpheus by saying that he doesn't believe in fate, what he's automatically implying to say is that he actually believes he has free will. And when Morpheus presents Neo with the choice of consuming either the red or the blue pill, it might seem that Neo was clearly provided with a choice between two options, and him choosing the red pill was a decision he made out of his own free volition. But is that objectively true? Because if we are to scrutinize the very scene from the lens of hard determinism and trace our way back to all of the events that preceded the very moment Neo reached out for the red pill, we can notice that Morpheus was clearly using suggestive psychology and NLP tactics to aptly trigger the very mental and emotional temperament within Neo that would create a sense of curiosity, fascination, and this sensation of being provided with the rare opportunity to have his existential questions finally answered once and for all.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo.
So because Neo's predisposition at that moment was such that the red pill was the only viable choice that was resonant with his immediate emotional and mental state, how can we say that he had the freedom to choose otherwise? And that way, can we really say that Neo was exercising his free will when he chose the red pill? So there is clearly a chain of prior causal events which directly ties into how Neo's neurochemistry signaled him to choose the exact outcome that he chose based on his natural predisposition. Like how most people are forced by their brain's signals to make the decisions that they make in their lives too. And because we don't have any conscious ability to affect how our bodies and brain's chemicals form a concoction amongst itself to trigger or signal us to do the things we do, speak the things we speak, or make the choices that we make, where exactly is our free will in that? And as much as I'd like to root for the argument that humans have free will, the neuroscience aspect of the deterministic argument can actually be scientifically validated by the Libet experiment, where Benjamin Libet found out in the 1980s that our actions are not caused by our conscious decision to act the way we do, but rather by our neural activity, which signals our brain to undertake certain actions before our brain is even consciously aware of it.
Causality. Action, reaction.
But in spite of all these examples, there is a pro and con to both these philosophies, because even if determinism is a really strong and scientifically validated philosophy, we cannot give a fair pass to certain types of human behavior if we are to live in a safe society. For example, criminal behaviors like murder, rape, kidnapping, and so much more, which is where the moralist argument can come into the picture to fill in the gaps, along with law enforcement and some theological arguments. Also, people who are extremely inclined towards believing in determinism can easily turn into conformists, have a victim mindset, become complacent, and refrain from the act of ever wanting to change anything about their lives or the world around them, irrespective of how messed up certain things might be. And a strong example of this scenario is the Matrix world in the movie itself, where everybody seemed to be fine going about their lives in autopilot mode, accepting the world they inherited for exactly what it is, never questioning any narrative around them. And an extreme example of a person who symbolically represents determinism in the movie is Agent Smith, who is a program and a policing agent who is specifically responsible for upholding the illusion of the Matrix controlled system, whereas Neo and the red-pilled rebels were the symbolic representation of the philosophy of free will and choice. Even though the idea of whether or not any of the red-pilled people were truly free is questionable. So in the end, I want to say that whether or not free will truly exists, the one thing that we know is that there are certain things that are worth fighting for in life. And had it not been for the anomalies in the movie, which would be Neo and the Red Pill Army, and also the anomalies in our real world, which would be the leaders and revolutionaries of our ancestral past, we wouldn't be enjoying half the freedoms that we currently do. So on this note, I want to end today's video, and I'll be back next week to discuss about another philosophical topic in the context of the Matrix trilogy. Also, do let me know what you think about these scenes in the movie. Do you think Neo really had a choice? Why do you think so? Also, what do you think about the free will versus determinism argument? Do you consider yourself to be free? And how? Let me know in the comments section below, and have a great week.